What's that? Who there? Whoa.
When everything was happening in March and April, like obviously fitness studios just shut down. And so you went from whatever you were doing per unit to zero, like in a snap of a finger. Like take me into the leadership team room, like for those few weeks in April. Like what were you guys thinking? And you alluded to it earlier, like you guys thought about, okay, do we make like kind of a digital, like more content solution to hold us over? Like just take us into that room, because I think it's fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny. Our team still talks about this, but I was, before the pandemic, May of 2019, I broke my leg in a pretty horrific jet ski accident. So I was I was working, but I was really out of commission for a long time. And I was on vacation for the first time in a really long time, end of February. And I was like, I'm going on this trip and like, you're not going to hear from me and blah, blah, blah. And I call my COO and it's like March 4th. And I'm like, listen, dude, this COVID thing is really starting to like scare me a little bit. And I'm not hyperbolic. Like I have a high risk tolerance. Like this is not, a normal thing for me to bring up, frankly. And, I'm on a boat. And he's like, are you seriously calling me from a boat? Like to talk to me about this, like COVID? I'm like, yes. I'm like, you guys need to run numbers. And what does our business look like if we lose half of our revenue? And the whole team, we laugh about it now, but the whole team was just like, are you effing kidding me? Like she's supposed to be on vacation. And now we have to spend our time like creating this model for like what our business looks like if we lose half of our revenue. And, I come back on March 8th and things every day just get worse, right? There's this like, oh my God, wait, what? Like, and I remember us talking about like, are we going to have to stop doing high fives? Like, we're going to have to stop touching people. I mean, that was the extent that we're like, this is awful. How do we stop high fives? And then, obviously it was just like, that was it. It was just like one day, SoulCycle, Berries, I'm like, this is happening. Everybody's closing. And I was still a little optimistic. We had started talking about, okay, we're going to close our studios for a couple of weeks. Like that's going to be the extent of it. Unfortunately, one of our board members was a bigwig at Marriott. He recently retired. And we had an emergency board call and we're like, listen, this is our plan. And he was very vocal of, you guys need to lay off, furlough as many people as you possibly can. You have zero revenue. This thing is not going away. You are going to be closed for a while. No one knows how long, but you cannot continue to just burn your cash. And that was a real wake up call for us. Like we didn't want to either believe it, accept it. And all the plans that we had made with our staff before that of what we were going to do, just were like, okay, like we're going to do this. And I made the call to say, we're laying off everybody. If worst case scenario, we can hire them back. But if we're wrong and we go 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks of people not working and burn our cash down $1 million and then lay people off, like what did we gain? They're still going to be laid off, right? Why don't we get them in the unemployment line? And we were the first ones to do it. And it was 98% of people. We did it over Zoom. And it was heartbreaking. I cried a lot, like on this call with them. And I'm like, I can't believe I never felt so out of control in my life. You guys have to trust us. We are going to do everybody who is left. There was 13 people out of hundreds. And we're like, we are going to work night and day. We're going to figure something out. And we need you guys to trust us, which was a very difficult thing to ask for, in that moment of these people who were pretty much telling them they're not going to get a paycheck beyond the next 2 weeks, which is what we paid everybody. It was 2 weeks sort of severance, so to speak. And we transitioned to online immediately. Like, okay, what are we doing? How do we do it? How are we going to stick out? What do we need to do? We went on Zoom. We kept our small group classes on Zoom because we thought that was important to the brand. Fortunately, PPP came 6 weeks later. We hired everybody. 95% of people we hired back. after PPP, and they've been on board ever since. And we've been like making it work. But it was every single day, weekends, nights, days, conversations in the trenches. Like for people who work for companies that came out the other side, I guess I can say, like, from being in it, having some appreciation for the leaders who got you through that. And this isn't even about myself, it's about my team, right? Like, I'm the majority owner in this company. Like, there was a lot financially at stake. So if people want to criticize me for that, fine. But the people whose salaries who stayed, like, I cut everybody's salary by 50%. I completely eliminated my salary, and people were working every day, all day, for nothing, just to like get this thing through this ridiculous, unpredictable, capricious storm. And for those of you who are at a small business that made it, like, you need to give some gratitude to the leaders, because it was not easy for them to do that, in my opinion.
Thank you for sharing that. I mean, that's wild. Like, when you go through the playbook of like, all right, these are the scenarios, like revenue to zero, lay off 98% of your staff is not even a page in that playbook. And so
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of businesses that are now, I guess the positive spin is like a lot of businesses and leadership is way more resilient now. Like, that's the worst that'll ever happen to any business in this space by far, right? So now you guys know like exactly where your risk tolerance is, exactly where your like parameters need to be. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, totally. And like, we are in major growth mode right now. Like, we are a lot of lines in the water. We are trying to grow. We are like back to what we're really good at. Like, we are opening 10 more studios this year. You know, we're not like dipping our toe in the water. We're like, fuck it. Sorry if I can't swear on your podcast, but
no, let it fly.
Okay,
let it fly.
but
It's
we're
all
like,
good.
this is what we do. Like, we are doubling down on our product, on our people, on our experience, on everything. And a lot of people, unfortunately, didn't make it. And we know that we are a category leader in this space, and we know we're really great at what we do, and we know that we help people look and feel amazing. And, you know, frankly, the world needs more of that right now.